success. Thanks a lot, everyone, for making it. You all deserve a big round of applause. There is no doubt on it. Just the way how others who could not make it today, you also had a mini engagement. However, you prioritized this and made it, which means deep in yourself, there is a student who longs to learn new things every day. And you are among the few who decided to, or you need to keep sharpening your knowledge axe and need to find the better version of you and keep pushing the boundaries of your capabilities. As you know it, you will be another absolute case in this highly competitive market or in the world. So guys, as everyone knows, after pandemic, we realized that our competition doesn't contain with a small circle that we are in. We are on a global platform. We may not even know from where the competition comes. So guys, thanks a lot for investing this wonderful time with us. And this is our word to you that the time that you have blocked here for this e-Bookery English session, this would not be in futile. This will not be in a way. Definitely you will gain the value for the time that you are giving it for this e-Bookery. So I have a Sindhu Balagopal here to co-host along with me. Hi Sindhu, welcome.
Hello. Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we all know that we all want to read more, but only a few of us are lucky enough to get time to read the books of our choice. But if through this e-Bookery show, we are able to listen to so many book reviews by so many distinguished authors, as well as people reviewing others' books also. So we are just lucky enough to have so many people over here. Over the weeks, every Saturday, two amazing speakers will join us. And Anil Thomas, he is the man behind all this. And Faisal also. Faisal nowadays, though he is too busy to come here for the e-Bookery show, he is also behind all this. And we have a team of coordinators for all this. And by just listening to the stories, the book reviews, we are able to know what all books we can. During this pandemic, of course, we are not able to go outside also here. We are not able to get the books of our choice. Time can be spent very enjoyably by listening to this e-Bookery show. We have so many languages also, and kudos to our Brain City for arranging a platform, a Zoom online platform for this for storytelling, empowerment talks, and all these.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely, Sindhu, because look at the episode that we are having it today. It's a 46th episode. So
Yes.
from the day 1 until the 46th, if you need to keep running and you need the commitment, you need the discipline, the person behind this, it's Anil Thomas, who is the dynamo behind this e-Bookery English. And all the appreciation goes to Anil Thomas and that, the selfless volunteers of e-Bookery. So Sindhu, I would like to hear a story from you. The last few weeks, I was the one who was sharing the story.
Okay.
You got any story?
Of course. Yes, of course. Let me see. So I have this beautiful Sufi parable over here about the sun and a cave. Okay. So one day the sun and the cave struck up a conversation. The sun had trouble understanding what dark meant, and the cave didn't quite get the hang of what light and what clear was. So they decided to change places. The cave went up to the sun and said, "Ha, this is beyond wonderful. Now come down and see where I have been living." The sun went down to the cave, but the sun said, "Hey, I don't find a difference." So what happened? When the sun went down, it took its light along with it to the darkest corners of the cave, and every space inside the cave was illuminated. That's why the sun couldn't see the darkness over there. So there is a quote that says, "The enlightened ones can never be sent to hell or pushed into darkness. They carry their heaven on their shoulders all the time." So we have always thought that heaven is a place where we are supposed to go after death. But it is just a state of mind that we are supposed to achieve. If you are full of darkness within, full of negativity, fear, and doubt, you become a cave unknowingly. It is hell within, and no matter how much you accumulate, you still remain hollow. If you are illuminated like the sun, then the darkness of the cave doesn't matter. You would be in the worst of circumstances, you can still be able to find a blessing somewhere. You will be carrying your heaven with you. So that is what the Sufi parable says. Get enlightened from within.
That's
Yes,
an
with that,
amazing, that's an amazing one. Truly, I mean, people, you would get to see that one. Some people, the moment they come to you, you will feel that positive energy. Some people, if they come to you, you would find that negative energy in the kind of people. So always carry the positive energy with you wherever you go. Then you would carry the light also along with you. Wonderful stories and too for a positive, inspirational kind of a story. So thank you so much, Sindhu, for the wonderful story. Yes, it's a time for us to invite Anil Thomas to invite our first speaker of the day. Yes, Anil Thomas, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Nias, and thank you, Sindhu, for this wonderful story. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Ramadan to all e-Bookery supporters. Our special prayers to whole universe in general and in India in particular, as we are fighting against the pandemic of this century. Security, safety, and clarity are the key motivators for an employee to give the best in their job. A transparent and sustained process-based system is so important in workplaces that we all know. We work in corporate, so we all know how the processes are important. This is the case for entrepreneurs, legislature, and of course for media personnel as well. For the management, without the customer, there won't be any business. Again, a system-based uh, efficient process determines customer satisfaction. The book is ideal for human resource heads in corporate and SMEs who are the bridge between the employees and the management in organization. HR heads are well positioned to gather perspectives from both sides and incorporate the changes to make it in a win-win for all stakeholders. Book lovers, help me in introducing Kaushik Majumdar and his book, The Process of PRO. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anil. Thank you so much, Nias, Mr. Ali. So before I start, I just quick question for all of you. Have you ever wished that you had not 24 hours, but 48 hours day? I'm asking this question because it had happened so many times. I wish that, I had 48 hours instead of 24 hours, because there are times when no matter how much effort I put in, whether it's in my workplace, in my business, or in my family, it was never enough. So thank you so much again. Good evening to you all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kaushik Majumdar, author of the Process Pro. Yeah, that's a book here. And also I'm a workplace challenge consultant with 25 years experience in the corporate workspace. First of all, I would like to thank you all for your time on this Saturday evening, and special thanks to you, Mr. Thomas, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I'm proud of being part of this session today. I know it's a book review congregation which you conveyed to me, and it would be improper on my part to review my own book, right? So, as I mentioned to you, that I'm going to talk about a little bit of background and the objective of the Process Pro. So before I talk about the book, one more quick question again. Have you come across such an experience where two students, since it's a education, I mean, it's an examination time now, those examinations have been put on hold. Two students, one is apparently very sincere, studious, studies 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the other one apparently watches movies, spends time with his friends, plays cricket, watches Premier League on telly. However, when the results come, the latter one performs better. I'm sure you have such experience, of course. And the neighbors get surprised. ये बंदा पढ़ता कब है? इतना अच्छा result करता है. What's the secret of his success? I'll tell you. The secret of not just these students' success, but also secret of every successful people is system. they all follow a system. Now, system is a very often repeated word, but what we understand of system, to me, system is equal to process plus organization. System is equal to process plus organization. Now, here I would like to mention one thing that, I'm next 15-20 minutes, I'm going to give you a lot of information which you might find useful. If you have any questions, I would suggest park them for now. And by the time I end my talk, probably you'll have your answers. Otherwise, I'll be happy to address those questions. So we are talking about systems. Now, system is equal to process plus organization. Now, when you talk about process, very few of actually understand what is process. Though we keep talking about process, but very few actually understand about process. Process is what, when, and how to achieve a predefined goal. Process is what, when, and how to achieve a predefined goal. It's basically a combination of three things. One is predefined steps or actions to achieve a goal, when to perform those actions to achieve the goal, and the strategy. What would be the strategy to achieve the goal? And that's the how part. The most important aspect of process is the goal. End of the day, without a goal, process means nothing. Now, let me give an example. We see in front of the gyms, they talk about in the banners that, lose 10 kgs in 10 weeks, something like that, right? You see these displays in front of the gyms. Now, after you enroll yourself for the weight loss program, the instructor would take your details, your height, weight, your BMI, your food habits. Then the instructor would give you a diet chart and an exercise regime. The diet chart would include recommended food intakes, the quantity, and when to have those food, how to have those food, after dinner, with water, without water, you should swallow it, that kind of thing, all the details. And so also, you tell you the exercises that you have to do. When would be the good time to do the exercises? Is it in the morning or after dinner, that kind of things? Repetitions, the body postures, all these details to reduce 10 kgs in 10 weeks. In regular intervals, or say in 3 days, 7 days, or 5 days, 5 days or 7 days, there'll be checks on the progress, and accordingly the diet and exercise regime will be altered. What is this? This is nothing but process. You have what to do, when to do, and the strategy, which is the how part to achieve a goal, which is to shed 10 kilos in 10 weeks. Now, if somebody asks me, what is process? In one sentence, to me, process is discipline. Process is discipline. What is discipline? Discipline is performing certain actions with consistency, following a strategy, keeping a goal in mind. Very important that we understand. Discipline is performing certain actions with consistency, following a strategy, keeping a goal in mind. The two very important keywords here is consistency and goal. It means a person repeats actions whether he or she likes them or not to achieve a goal. I tell you what, to an ordinary person, repetition is boring. To an ordinary person, repetition is boring. To an extraordinary person, repetition is mastery. Now the question is, can there be success without discipline? The answer is obvious no, a big no. And that's why the students studied 18/7, have no plan, falters, whereas the other one succeeds because he has a plan. He's, that says what to do, when to do, and strategy, which is the how part. Now people, ask me, do you really need to follow a process to be successful? I mean, that's a question I keep often getting from people. Look, success without following process is not success. I call chamatkar. We all understand chamatkar. So, surprise probably would not be the correct interpretation. So it's chamatkar. And chamatkar is like Halley's Comet. It happens once in decades. Success has a pattern. If the pattern is not followed, the success cannot be reproduced. Now, someone somewhere said, I don't know who, but I'll share with his quote here. If you cannot describe what you do in process, you don't know what you're doing. If you cannot describe what you're doing in process, you don't know what you are doing. Here I would share with you an interesting piece of information. Now, if you go back to the weight loss program, 10 people with the same physical condition, follow the same diet and exercise regime, are expected to produce same results. Now, if for some reason the results are not what was expected, then what would happen? The trainer would do a reassessment and make changes to the process. What does that say? It says something very, very interesting, which most of us ignore or don't understand. That is, reassessing the progress of and make changes in the process is also part of the process. Reassessing the progress and make changes in the process is also part of the process, which we tend to ignore when you talk about process. We think that process is something which is cast in stone. It's not. My research shows, during writing the book, that shows that it's never about people. It's always about process. My book is focused on corporate workspace, so I'm giving us an example in the corporate context. You tell me a big breakdown, I'll be telling you the process behind it. People talk about firefighting, they talk about no work-life balance. Actually, they have a problem in prioritization process. If somebody's talking about overloaded with his work, he needs to check with his delegation process. There is something wrong with the delegation process. If as a leader, I'm having unhappy team members, most probably the problem is that there is no feedback or review mechanism. If my customers is unhappy and I'm doing everything, then I need to look into the reporting process, whether I'm reporting it correctly or not. Most of the time, that's a problem. And if I have a difficult boss, the problem in all probability lies in communication process. See, there might be other factors as well. However, end of the day, it's all about process and never about people. And that's why I say that process works, people don't. Process works, people don't. Excuse me. Another myth which I keep hearing is process restricts innovation, process restricts creativity. That's not true. That's a myth. Because this happens in bureaucracy, where everything is done by the book. Following process does not mean leaving a person's intelligence behind, right? Look, you cannot make omelette without breaking an egg. At the end of the day, you have to follow the process. So to me, process is what works. Now, I told you, if you recall, that system is equal to process plus organization, and process is equal to why plus when plus what. Now, the only part is missing, which is who part, which is finding the right people and putting them in the right place. And that is nothing but organization. People with pretty clear role clarity. And those who are from corporate background agree that 90% of the problems faced by corporate employees originate from lack of role clarity. Now, I have written the process pro keeping in mind corporate workspace. So if you look at the professional workspace, any organization, small, big, medium, any size of organization, there are major three stakeholders: the employers, the employees, and the customers. Now, happy customers make happy employer makes happy employees, and happy employees make happy customers. So it's a cycle. But what we see in the most of the organization, I'm talking about the organization in India. I've never walked in Dubai, so I cannot talk about these organizations there. But what we see in most of the organizations here is employees try to do minimum work in exchange of maximum pay. And on the other hand, employers try to squeeze maximum work out of the employees in exchange of minimum pay. So effectively, what we see is an environment of conflict in organizations. Through the process pro, my aim is to create an environment of collaboration instead of conflict. In every organization, where employees would be proud of being part of the organizations, management would be proud of their organization's continuous, consistent success, and all the stakeholders would be proud of their association with the organizations. And this can only achieved if an organization has laid down process, which is efficient, productive, and followed by all. Initially, in my professional career, I had to face a lot of struggle. I had a lot of struggle. Having studied in a vernacular medium, I was poor. My English was not good. I was short on confidence. Later on, when I became manager for the first time, it was because the earlier manager left without giving any notice, and the management and the leadership didn't find a better option. So they made me a manager. So I used to call myself an accidental first-time manager. And my research shows that 80% managers are accidental first-time managers. They become first-time managers not by design, but by accident. No processes were followed, no planned training, no hand-holding, no shadowing. They were just thrown into the hot water. And that's why most of them fail as a manager. There was hardly any succession plan. So in an organization, it's the process or lack of it is the mother of all negativity, insecurity, and poor performance. However, the unfortunate part is that more often than not in the organizations, process is neglected. Many a times due to sheer ignorance or in the name of innovation. Creating, implementing, reassessing, updating those processes are constituted as hard work and time consuming. Long-term benefits are compromised for the short-term gain. And this is exactly what triggered me to write the Process Pro. The Process Pro is a 360-degree perspective on processes related to 10 areas: recruitment, goal setting, customer handling, work environment, feedback strategies, effectiveness of meetings, which you tend to ignore most of the times, etiquette, leadership, and job insecurity. Periodical assessment and change wherever needed can bring transparency and efficiency in the system. And success is all about following a system. And that's not all. When I started writing the Process Pro, I realized that my experience and my knowledge is just one individual's perspective. And there could be variety of perspectives and approach to any given situation. And my readers have the right to know them also. There is a section, which is bonus section, where I've interviewed some of the successful icons across the industries in India for their perspective. So like CEO of Buckley Bank, CEO of Schindler's Elevators. Then I also interviewed Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani, the MD of Hiranandani Group, like them. And these super achievers have shared their experiences, knowledge, and success mantra with me, which I have included in the Process Pro. So the Process Pro includes my perspectives on process and also perspectives shared by some of the smartest minds of India. So with this, I'll sign off. Thank you so much. You have been, wonderful. So, and remember one thing, I just conclude, process walks people. Thank you so much. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you so much, Sir Kaushik. It's been a really wonderful. I guess this is a must-read book for any corporate employee or anyone who would like to. Oh, sorry, my camera is not on.
Not only corporate, Nias, everyone, yep, irrespective of jobs, everyone needs a planning.
Whoever wants to find the next step or next version of themselves, right, Sindhu?
Yes, and long-term goals is very important as much as the short-term goals, because we have to have the vision. What will happen in future? If we concentrate only on short-term goals, long-term goals, that vision will get disrupted.
So, Kaushik, a couple of things I really liked it very much. One is the consistency and the discipline. These are the core that we need to have it in order to achieve our goal. And the repetition, the person who can kill the boredom of the repetition, he is the one who is a real achiever. And these kind of things I really liked it. And success has a pattern. Of course, success has a pattern. And I really like the way how you brought that importance of process. Just the way how I heard recently from Sadhguru that, if you want a mango, you don't think of mango, you need to think of soil, employing, planting, watering, and fertilizers, manure, and patience. So if you focus on all these kind of things, mango would come automatically. So that's what you explain over here. Fantastic job, Kaushik Shah. Definitely, it's a book that we all need to pick it up. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome Venkat Sir, if Venkat Sir is listening to us now uninterruptedly without any kind of technical issues. Hi, Venkat Sir, are you there?
I'm very much there.
All right, great to have you back, sir. Sir, I hope you heard it completely from
Yes,
Sir
yes.
Kaushik. All right,
Yes.
sir. We would like to have your views
Can you
as
hear
well
me?
into it. Yes, very
Yes,
much.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
we can hear you.
Yeah, I said I heard it and enjoyed it thoroughly.
Okay, we would like to hear from you a few more points, like, how did you find it? Like, what is your takeaway on from that, and what is that you have to add into it?
Okay. At the outset, let me thank you very much for having given me this opportunity to review the review or whatever you call it. And I have thoroughly learned a lot from what Mr. Kaushik Majumdar has just spoken. I'm an HR guy myself. I've been teaching HR at B schools for the last 15 years. I've been a DGM HR after my career in the armed forces. And in the armed forces, we do a lot of man management. Most of it is man management. So I think it echoed a lot with what I believe in. And full marks because in the armed forces too, we are an extremely process-oriented organization. You must know that. We believe in doing things. There's an SOP written for everything, anything and everything. So it's not that, and I fully agree with what Mr. Majumdar has to say, that it doesn't close our brain to innovations at all. Uh, and so obviously you must have a proper process to do things. Otherwise, you just keep going round and round in circles like a headless chicken. That's what even I believe. So yes, process, the organized system being organization and process, and then focusing on goals, talking about process, culture, leadership, and people, and then also looking at what to do, when to do, strategy. A lot of learning today. I did a lot of jotting down and very, very interesting. I like that catch line process works, people don't. Then also, as far as the goal clarity, I completely agree again that it's really, really essential. And the point he said is 100% true, that organizations and employees, that is the stakeholders, the employers and the employees, keep fighting on who gets the best out of the other. And that is the way, unfortunately, things, it leads to a lot of conflict. So if processes are in place, then such conflict can be reduced a lot, certainly. And again, the point about updating constantly the processes and not keeping them outdated, very much required. I can see it as a living example in the education system of today, which is quite decadent. So we need to do a real reorg of the education system here in our country today. Unfortunately, it's very, very old. Let's hope something happens soon. Then again, talking about succession planning being ignored in most organizations. Yes, very true again. I've noticed that. So my experience on whatever Mr. Majumdar has spoken is that I completely, I would say, agree with whatever he's spoken. And I too believe very strongly in the process. So I'm sure I'll have to lay my hands very quickly on the book and give it a good reading so that I'm able to get the finer points. Thank you very much, Mr. Majumdar, for having enlightened us such a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Venkat, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Venkat sir. You really sponged everything Kaushik sir has given to us. If you cannot articulate what is your process, you don't know about it. That's as good as it. Amazingly done, Kaushik Saab, recruitment, role setting, goal setting, and customer handling, and work environment setting, everything. You made it so clear. Yes, I guess it's a time for us to go on to the next speaker. Before that, Gayatri, do you have anything to share over here on the first book, or do we need to go for the second speaker quickly?
Since I'm not a part of corporate for a long time, but I connect to process being from IT field. I'm an IT engineer, and most of our study we have learned about process, how this entire IT field from creation of softwares to working of organizations, everything is built on the base of software, or built on the base of process. Unless you have a process, and that process also needs to include the strategy so that you can go back and re-engineer it again. So from that point of view, I try to understand what sir said about process. And in education field, yes, where I look as an educator, I feel that there's a customized process for every child. So when you are, uh, when you're trying to give learning to any child, you need to understand their requirements and create a process accordingly that suits their learning style. So in that way, I try to understand though with a corporate kind of, I didn't have that much of knowledge, but I try to understand a lot about insights, how goal is important, and discipline is a very important part of process. So there were many things that I tried to, connect with my field of knowledge and what Sir tried to say. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful, Gayatri. Yes, I would like to take our Major sir quickly for a minute before I go on to the second speaker. Anil Thomas sir, be ready with the second speaker.
Niyas. Thank you, Niyas.
Major
I
sir,
thoroughly enjoyed Kaushik Majumdar's. I thoroughly enjoyed Kaushik Majumdar's. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed the articulation of Kaushik Majumdar. I can only say this: hold the vision, drop the excuses, and trust the process. He was able to give all his faith and trust and belief on rather process, and that is most important. That being the title of the book, because perfection has to do only with the end product, but excellence has to do only with the process. So if we're able to tighten the process, we'll have a concomitant outcome with the results, and that is what ultimately matters. I greatly like the way he was able to articulate and take us through the phases of process, and hats off to you, Kaushik. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Amazingly done. Venkat Saab, thank you so much. Gayatri, thank you so much. And Major Saab in particular, thank you so much for sharing your valued points over here. Yes, it's a time for us to go on to the next speaker. Anil Thomas sir, please invite our next speaker.
Thank you, Niyas. So thank you, Kaushik sir. Thank you very much. Please leave Amazon link so that we can go and straight away buy this book, because I don't have this book with me as well. So please leave your link. And coming to the second book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. It's a book that shows you how to keep from letting the little things in life drive you really crazy. In a thoughtful and perspective language, author Richard Colson reveals ways to calm down in the midst of your incredibly rushed, stress-filled life. You can learn to put things in perspective by making the small daily changes he suggests, including advice such as think your problems as potential teachers. Remember that when you die, your inbox won't be still empty. And do one thing at a time. So coming to my second speaker, Sujit Nair is an inspirational speaker whose mission is to empower individuals to take action to achieve their goals. She firmly believes every individual has the potential to succeed and works with people to discover their greatness and recreate their life. Having walked the path herself, Suchitha has a broad career portfolio and has worked in banking, hospitality, leisure, and healthcare sector. She's also a life coach and works extensively with her clients to achieve the results and transform from within on their journey to success. So welcome onto e-Bookery platform, Sujitha. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. It's a pleasure to see all of you and meet all of you. This is my very first time in Brain City, but I can see what amazing work you're doing. So thank you for having me. I have a few slides so that I know Kaushik had a very process-oriented and a process-driven, heavy evening for all of us today. So I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter, but I like how we are talking about process today, because there's a lot we can look at process even when we look at our own lives. And this is what I want to connect into today. So it's a book which has brought a lot of value to me. And maybe we don't have the time today to go through all of the different topics that's there, the different chapters, but I would like to take like 5 key points and walk you through that. Just simple reminders of how we can do much more effective in our life and have a peaceful life to live with. So let me just share my slides quickly so that you can follow what I'm saying. Just give me a second. Let me know when, Anil, just let me know if you can see my slides.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you should start seeing by now. Do you see my slides?
Good to go, yeah.
All right, thank you. So let me start with a little bit about me and who I am, what do I do. I think I'll cover it, but it's always good, I think, to hear from the source itself. So let me just move my slides, okay. All right, so a little bit about me. I grew up in Dubai, so I'm a Dubai kid, if you may call me that way. And it's been a wonderful journey living and growing up in Dubai. So that's Trade Center. If you know from if any of you connect with that photo, that's how Trade Center looked so many years ago, and that was my landmark building when I used to look around, and there was no Burj Khalifa, no Burj Al Arab, and nothing to go by. So if you had to give somebody locations, you would say, okay, that's Trade Center, and then 5 minutes from the roundabout to the right, or 5 minutes from the roundabout to the left. That's how Dubai used to be many years back, just barren desert, and then just one building standing tall in between the desert. So that's my childhood. I pretty much spent my childhood in there. And then I also graduated in Dubai itself. So I have a very long standing relation with Dubai. I love this place, actually. It's my hometown. And I graduated with my master's. So I studied here and I graduated with my master's, if any of you know the Middlesex University in Dubai. And if I look at influence, I think a lot of you might have similar influences from the likes of Robin Sharma to Oprah Winfrey to Michelle Obama to Sadhguru. I heard Sadhguru being mentioned. Robin Sharma is one person who changed my life for good, because I have, had this accident of just, seeing this book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I don't know how many of you have read it, but that's one book definitely that changed my life for the good. A lot of his thought processes, a lot of the way he thinks, and truly finding deeper meaning and passion in what you do in your life. A little bit about my work profile. So I wear multiple hats. I speak on various occasions in various forums. Along with that, corporately, I'm also a consultant. So I work with learning and development and organizational development. So a lot of what Kaushik was saying was, kind of like ringing in my ears, change and process and systems and people. So that's something which I do as well. And then in my personal time, I also do life coaching. I'm a certified life coach, and I also work with one-to-one with people who are interested in pursuing their life goals and find challenges or have issues in pursuing that. So looking at the time that we have today, I'm going to keep it really short, but if any of you would like to connect with me, you're most welcome to. My LinkedIn profile's up there, so I'll share it with you at the end of the slides, and feel free to connect with me outside, this conversation. So the book I'm going to review today, like Anil said, it's called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And there's actually a story behind this. And this is something that came into my memory when I was looking at what book do I have to review. Who knows, maybe a few years from down the line, I'll be reviewing my own book, but for now, I'm going to go with this one. And the story of this one was, this was around, how many years ago was this? I think this was around 7 years ago. I was supposed to board a flight from Bombay to Dubai. So I was visiting my relatives in Bombay, and I was coming back to Dubai. And what I did not realize is the flight said AM and I thought it's PM. So you can imagine my agony when I reached the airport, and they were like, that flight just went by in the morning. Where were you all this while? So I was frustrated. I was, of course, annoyed. I had all those different emotions coming in me. And I always have this habit. It's something that's been there in me just like that for fun, but I guess it's served me for a very long time. So what I usually do is, if something happens, like a bad event or a bad situation, which is out of my control, I always try to see if I can at least end it on a good note. It's just happened. I mean, it's not something I've learned from anybody. It's just something I've picked up on the way. Maybe my way of trying to make that situation not that bad, or make it a little bit more cheerful for myself. So I was sitting there at the airport and thinking that, okay, the only thing I have right now to do is I have to I have to go back, take a cab, go back, and just announce to everybody that, guys, I missed the flight, because the next available flight was only next day in the morning. And I had no plans of sleeping in the airport. I definitely didn't want to sleep in the airport. So I said, okay, I just have to head back and, just tell everybody that I missed the flight and then get some sleep and then come back for the next flight. Now, thankfully, there was not too many repercussions of missing that flight. Had it been something like today, possibly I would have been stuck forever in a situation like pandemic. But thankfully, then I was just, visiting my relatives and it was leisure. So it was okay. It was not so bad also. So while I was there, I started looking around, in my habit of seeing how can I end something like this on a good note. And I saw a bookstore there. I'm a big fan of books. And this book, so I have it right now here with me. This is the copy of the book, if you can see it. So this was right there in front of me, right on the top shelf, and it was just staring at me. And I said, okay, this seems like some signs from the universe saying that maybe I should just let it go. I should not get frustrated or annoyed with the fact that I missed a flight. Thankfully, there's no big consequences of missing the flight. Definitely, it's a hassle to my schedule, but it's not creating a big issue for me. So I took the book then, and that's when I was talking to Anil, and I was thinking like, which book should I review? This came up in my mind, and I said, this is a good thing, a good book to review and remind ourselves that we are all in a very difficult situation at the moment, but maybe there are simple things that we can remind ourselves to maybe not really sweat the small stuff and take time to focus on the long-term life goals that we have. So moving on to the next slide, I'm going to start with point number 1 and take you through 3 points that I have. I have actually 2 bonus points. I'll talk about that. So it's 5 points that I'm going to talk about from this particular book. This book is actually, it was written around in 1997, but then it was republished again with a few editions. And this is around 2008 that this was published. And if you actually see the book, the beauty of this book is that it has close to around 100 points. I'm not sure if you can see this when I'm showing this to you, but there's like a total of 100 points, all the way. And it's small, short, I would say 1 stories or 1 pages. And you can open this book from anywhere you like. So it's not related to each other. It's like 100 simple daily reminders. You can pick up what you like to read and you can pick up whichever page you like to read, and you should be good to go and understand what the author is trying to say. So I'm just picking up these 5 points which stood out to me. Maybe when you read the book, or if you have the opportunity to read the book, maybe there'll be something else. But these points really stood out to me, and it really, I felt it's something that we all need to remember. So these are the 5 points that I've chosen. So point number 1, your basket isn't meant to be empty ever. So Richard Carlson is an American author and also a psychotherapist. So there's of course a lot of science that is there. There's a lot of neuroscience behind what he's trying to say. And what he's trying to say with this point is that your basket, so what he refers to as basket here is your tray of tasks. So we all, I think if we work in a corporate culture, we all have that tray, that office tray, where your papers keep pending or projects keep getting thrown at you. So you want to call it a basket, you want to call it a tray, that's up to you. But basically what he's trying to say is that it's never meant to be empty. And what he refers to is that we all sometimes feel that there is going to be that one day when there's going to be absolutely no more tasks left for us, no more projects left for us. It's going to be that day when we finally achieve peace or happiness in life, when we can just go free and we just have all the time in the world to do all the things that we want to do. What he's trying to remind us here is that maybe you should not be so, focused on finishing everything in that basket all the time. Of course, your priorities will change over time, because then you have and you lead a much more balanced life. So just picking up a little bit of a quote and what he had written there. So he says about how there's always going to be calls to be made, there's always going to be projects to be done, there's always going to be bills to be paid. I think as humans, our life is always going to be evolving with responsibilities. Some days maybe we have lighter responsibilities, some days we have maybe more responsibilities, but we know that there's never, truthfully speaking, there's never going to be a day when there's completely no responsibilities at all. And talking about it from a don't sweat the small stuff kind of concept, he's trying to say that let's not maybe focus our energy completely on just getting to that bottom paper of the tray. Maybe you want to just balance it out with the other priorities that you have in life. That might be building good relationships, that might be having good, a good laugh with your colleague, that might be having a friendly work environment. It could be anything, but let's balance it out. So that's the first point that I like to bring here. The second point is agree with the critiques when you can. This is a really interesting one. I'm sure when you read it, a lot of us are, at least I got goosebumps, because it's always difficult to agree when somebody's criticizing you with something, right? It's like somebody's trying to point at you and say that something is wrong or something has not been done well. And before your mind can actually process what the person is trying to say, your emotion has already taken over. And possibly in your head, you have punched that person 10 times before you can actually even, peacefully think through what is it that you're going through. So again, here, what Richard's trying to say is we often get very immobilized with criticism, whether that's coming from family, whether that's coming from work, whether that's coming from maybe just somebody you met on the street and somebody says that you're not dressed properly, or you're not talking properly, or you're not walking properly, whatever it is. So before we actually get into those emotions and we go down spending a lot of our energy saying, why did that person speak to me that way? Or why did that person pull out that critic about myself that way? He says that let's maybe try and understand what is that person exactly trying to say. And more than that, is it worth your time? So 1 year down from today, will that message mean anything to you? And will that help you in achieving your life goals? If it does, then take that critique very seriously. And of course, you need to work on it. But if it's just some random comment, maybe it infuriates you now, but then maybe in the long term, it's not going to serve your purpose. And interestingly, there's actually more to this. Interestingly, more as he writes about this, he also says that sometimes when you start agreeing with your critiques, at least on the points you can agree, you will suddenly see that they just disappear. So the critics love it when they have some kind of debate or some kind of fight going on. But then what if you end up saying that, oh yes, I agree with you, I should have totally said that, I should have totally done that. Then they kind of disappear because now they've lost the battle and they're like, this person doesn't want to fight anymore. So there's no more fun, there's no more energy in this complete back-to-back concept. So try to really focus your energy and try to ask yourself that in all what goes on in the world today, whether you are debating about politics, whether you're debating about sports, whether you're debating about the news, maybe you're debating about how the pandemic should be done and driven by your government, whatever is the case, try and ask yourself that, are these conversations bringing value to you? If they're bringing value to you, you are investing your energy in the right places. But if they're not bringing any value to you, what's the point? So think of energy like, how they say, think of it like a stock market. Think of them like shares. Would you invest your shares in a place where you're not going to get any returns? Of course not. So same thing, when you think of your energy, when you think of the time that you're taking in your life each day on the different aspects of your life, where are you losing your time and your energy? And how can we make that more efficient, right? So that's second process, second one. The third one is transform your relationships with problems. So the word problems is something I think we all run away from, truthfully speaking. Nobody likes a problem. We don't want to be in a problem. And we say we have enough of problems all around us. So if your relationship with the word problem is a negative one, maybe then it's time you re-look into it again. So here he talks about how true happiness comes when it's not when you run away, but maybe when you're more able to accept the problem. Maybe it's a harsh reality, maybe it's a harsh truth, but when you have acceptance, you have won half your battle. But if you're going to run away, then you need all your energy to run away. And that's going to be like a monster that keeps following you everywhere, wherever you go. It's not going to even let you sleep in the night. So that's going to be completely difficult to deal with. So learning to accept your reality and learning to create a flow of peace helps you become calm, helps you become composed, and helps you actually focus all of your intention, your actions on what is it that you really wish to achieve. What is your life goal and what is it that you really want to bring to the table? Along with that, so 3 quick reminders for you. I had 3 points, but then later on I said I'll just give 2 bonus points extra also, since you've been all such a good audience. So you've got the 3 points. One was your basket is never meant to be empty. So maybe not your intention should not be clearing your basket completely. Maybe there are days where you can clear it completely. Maybe there are days when two, three, maybe low priority tasks can wait till tomorrow. So that's something that you can work with. Agree with your critiques when you can. Try doing that. So next time somebody's criticizing you and it's something that is acceptable to you, maybe just say, I completely agree with it. Or if there's something that you need to learn from there, maybe just silently take the lesson from that and start working on yourself and improving from that. Transform your relationship with problems. That's definitely gone and said. That's problems are always going to be there. Let's try making problems, even if not our best friend, let's at least start treating it as a friend and see what is the lesson in learning. How can we move on from what we learn from there? And the two bonus points I would like to add here is learn to make peace with imperfection and choose your battles wisely. I think a lot of us may be perfectionists at the end of the day. We always want to achieve everything and the best of its quality, its time, and which is what keeps us motivated, which is what keeps us running towards our goals. But you also may want to also look at not just perfection, you may want to also look at progress. So a lot of people, like in my coaching, a lot of people come to me now and tell me that I hated how it's going right now in the pandemic. I feel like I'm going so slow in my life. My life goals are so like they were 10 years apart. Now with the pandemic, it's become 20 years apart. But the question key here is, are you making progress? Are you making progress each day? And even if it's that one small step you might have taken from yesterday, you still have made progress. And that's something you should be really, celebrating about and being happy that even in pandemic, you're able to move forward and you're able to achieve something, when things are so difficult. Choosing your battles wisely, again, is another one. Not every war is to be fought. You don't have to be a soldier in every war. So choosing your battles wisely, again, make sure that you know what you're fighting for and you know how that fight is going to lead you to your life goals. Because if you're fighting a battle that you don't even know how it's going to end and what is the purpose of it, then plain simple, you're just losing a lot of your time, a lot of your energy. And then come tomorrow, you're not able to focus on what exactly you need to focus. By then, you would be very tired, you would be very exhausted. There wouldn't be much energy left in you to do anything. Forget about life goals, maybe even living is going to get difficult. So those are the 5 points that I picked up. What I'm going to ask you, each one of you, is I'm going to leave all of you with this question is, again, I'm going to tie this back because we talked about process in detail. So think of life as a process. Think of your own life as a process. And if you're trying to achieve efficiency in your life, what are the bottlenecks? What are the small stuff that's stopping you from achieving those, right? So where can you pull away those small little dirt, weeds, whatever you want to call it, your time consumers? And how do you then effectively refocus and how do you rewrite that area of your life? So that's my question to all of you. That's pretty much it from my end. If you wish to connect with me, you can on LinkedIn. I would be happy to chat with you further. That's it. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I give it back to you, Nias and Anil.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sujitha. First of all, I just want to say that you will make a very good teacher because point by point you are explaining everything and recapitulating also after that points. Very good teacher and amazing review. Nice book also by Richard Carlson. Definitely, we all will read your book. This book after this review. Yes, Nias.
Maybe you can remove the presentation.
All right. It's been really wonderful, Suchitha, and thank you, Sindhu, for your the comments on what she did. Yes, your basket never gonna be empty, never and never gonna be empty. And agree with your critics. Down the line, think of one thing that will this be a problem for you? If it is not going to be a problem for you, that is not at all a thing that you need to worry about. Amazing thought on that. That's amazing. And whatever the activities and whatever the energy that whatever the activities that you are getting into, wherever you are putting your energy, make sure one thing that you are getting a value out of it. If you don't get a value out of it, it's a safe to say masalama and do some kind of an activity where you get value. Amazing. And love the imperfection. That is what we really want to do. That one, love the imperfection. Do not wait to get the best cut from you. Go and do. No matter what, even if you commit the mistakes, who cares that mistakes? I mean, even if you are in the middle of a judgmental people, opinionated people, it is their problem. It is not at all your problem. Your problem or your worry that you need to have it, like just to go and do it. Amazingly done that, Suchitha. I mean, amazing points. Choose your battle wisely and love your relationship. I mean, improve the relationship with the problems. Yes, that's what we all need to do, that one, because the moment we come across a problem, we all tend to either flight or freeze.
Yeah,
But when
true.
you accept it, half of the battle is won. Amazingly articulated, Suchita. I believe the many people would be having their own points to share over here. Gunasa, are you there, sir? Viswanathan, yes.
And this is one of the fantastic presentation, very simple and beautiful presentation. I love the presentation in bulleted points, and the presentation and the slides are awesome. And she talked very nicely and so soothing. And really, I love to read that book. I like to buy that book. Thank you so much, Suchitha, for this awesome, simple but beautiful. It's not too much. It's very simple. Thank you.
That's what she mentioned it from the very clearly from the initial, I mean, the beginning of her presentation itself, that, this is a book where you can read from anywhere that you need it. It is not a sequential thing. You go and read on the 100th point, you have something to take away. You go and read the 56th point, you have something to take away from that. It's amazing. And we all know that one, if you need to achieve something in our life, what is the real bottleneck? It is not something this much in size. It is a very tiny little thing that we sweat over. That is what we just need to get out of our head. Amazingly done. Yes, I would like to have more people over here
After
who
a
would
long
like
time,
to share some of their.
I can see Rogers here, Niaz.
Yeah, hi Rogers.
Yes.
All the way from Africa. Rogers, are you there?
Busy with the episode, of course, but now that he is here.
Yeah, so this time for Africa. Come on, Rogers. All right, I guess Rogers is not there. Anyhow, I really love the book. Don't sweat over the small things. Two amazing books that we had today. And thank you so much, Anil Thomas, for bringing these two amazing speakers and two amazing books on this platform. We have plenty of, had this been missed, it would have been a great miss for every one of us. Yes, Vetri.
Maybe we can listen to what Vetri will.
Yes, our Vetri will is there. Vetri would be having many things to resonate with this, because he's been in a corporate life for a long time and he's been in sales.
Thank you, Nias. Thank you, Sindhu. You guys are doing amazing job, and I give more credit to Anil, silently making things to happen.
Vetri started selling.
I'm selling you guys. It was fantastic to be with all the people of wisdoms, and both the sessions were fantastic. I should thank personally Kaushik and Suchitha. It's enlightening, like you rightly said, a person missed something. So thank you very much for that. We will be attending more and try to increase our understanding about more subjects and try to make our life easier.
Nias, can we call Samina?
Yes, Shamina Baruda. Hi, Shamina, are you there?
Hello, Samina.
I think audio is missing.
All right, let Shamina come over here. These days, we understand one thing, that small things play an important role in our life. The book of Kaushik Chab, or the book which Suchitha presented over here, or the book which we all might have read, the Atomic Habits. These all books say about, what is the importance of the small elements in our life, the consistency, discipline. It is not about doing the big things, once in a while. It is about doing the small things consistently with a lot of discipline. Amazing. I really loved today's session from both of our speakers, Kaushik and Suchitha. Yes, is there anyone who would like to share their views on these two books?
Harish,
Yeah,
Sheila.
can I say something?
Pick up.
Yes, yes, Kaushik sir, please go
I
ahead.
quickly want to add, see, it really pains me. We Indians in India are not really, we are not a country of book readers, to be very honest. I mean, we are okay to spend 500 rupees for a movie, but when it comes to buying a book, 350 rupees is too much for us. We do go for the second hand in front of the railway station, right? So having a session like this and really making this, creating this awareness. I mean, I'm really privileged. I'm feeling very proud to be part and being part of this session today. And I mean, I've also learned a lot from Suchitha, who just mentioned all these points. I mean, what I always believed is that perfection is for mediocre people because success is always savvy. You're bound to make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, because if you don't mistakes, you cannot be successful. So those who go after perfection, they, end of the day, they remain mediocre. And another quote which I just don't aim, just shoot. Because if I try to aim, when the right thing will come and then I'll shoot, then probably I wouldn't have written this book. It's just I started writing this book and just in the flow I've finished it. So these are the two very important things which I've learned from Suchitha. So thank you very much, Suchitha. Wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaushik, sir, because it is not you, but it is us who are privileged to have you here in our e-Bookeries.
Yes, Kaushik sir, you put it very cleanly, I mean, neatly that, people, they spend 500 rupees for a cinema, but, when it comes to a book, they may not spend that 500 rupees, but, the kind of a value which they get out of a book, because that author might have done a wonderful research behind it. The author might have spent the entire life of him to bring such kind of a wonderful book. The book which Suchitha mentioned over here, The Monk Who Sold Ferrari. Is there anyone who has not read that book? If you have not read the book, please go and read that amazing book, The Monk Who Sold Ferrari. So there are plenty of books. So we are introducing one by one these books to you. I mean, this book, Don't Sweat Over the Small Thing, is completely new to me. Though it's a widely celebrated book. So yes, definitely I need to go and pick it up, the book. And Kaushik's book also, that one of the best books that I ever heard, from the presentation. Yes, Kaushik Saab, definitely will go and pick that book either on a Kindle or a paperback itself. So guys, are we done here, or is anyone else who would like to share their views?
We have not yet heard from Suchitha, her experience about this book review. Welcome. By coming
we would
go
back to them, Kaushik Saab and Suchitha once again. But before that, I would like to have somebody before the speaker talks. Anybody else? Anu,
Piyush Kumar,
Sapna, TT, KG, Harish, Sindhu, MK. Yes, Piyush, you're audible now.
Rogers.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, Rogers.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in a place that I can't put on a video. Yeah, I was following.
It's okay.
I was in the field. The session has been good. I've enjoyed. I got part of it after the first speaker came on. And thank you, and good evening to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rogers. Thanks a lot for joining us. Piyush Kumar, please go ahead.
It was such a nice listening to both the authors. It was so delight. And ma'am, it's very nice that you picked this book. Similarly, it has with me also. Sometime back, it was sometime in 2005 that I got this book, Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho. So similarly, even was this, and the way you picked up the book, I also picked up the book, and that book has transformed my life like anything. So I can resonate and I can connect the way you have done. And Kaushik Saab ka jo book hai, it is so amazing. The way he has explained the process, it has given a new dimension that repetition with discipline brings a lot of good results. So we should master the art of repetition and not get into boredom. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a new dimension.
Wonderful, wonderful, Piyush. And you truly want something, the entire universe would conspire in achieving it. from The Alchemist. You must have read it, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, that's another book, Alchemist. We had that Alchemist book presentation here, right, Anil Thomas G?
Yeah, I've done it. It was done.
Yeah, that's another wonderful book, Alchemist. So similarly, our authors and our participants would introduce the new books on this platform that we all must read. So let me go back to Kaushik Saab and Suchitha just to understand how has been their experience on e-Bookery platform. Before that, is there anyone who would like to share their ideas or
Yeah, Niyaz, may I chip in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so if you know, there's something called Pustak Mahal in Delhi. It's a Delhi publication, and what do they normally do is they print these kind of self-help books, which are actually copied from American books. So we have this kind of books as a benchmark, and then we try and write a book which is for the Indian audience. So I think Kaushik Saab has done something similar, wherein he is trying to address the Indian problem. Most of these American authors, they might have tried to address something for their own audience. So we have to probably write books for the Indian audience. That's what I feel, and Kaushik Saab has done exactly that.
If you allow me, I will like to represent this. Many publishing houses in India who are already getting rights done from foreign publishers, and they're getting done their books in Hindi. So, and not even Hindi, other dialects also, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, and Bangla, all the languages. Our publishing house is doing similar. Similarly, Manjul Publishing House is also there. Then the publishing house you mentioned, Pustak Mahal, was there, but somehow it has gone dormant now. They're no longer publishing books. And they are the one who initiated this RapidX English speaking course of all the languages.
Yeah, and they would actually come out with books which are pretty cheap compared to the original ones.
Yeah.
All right. Anyhow, thank you so much for that information sharing, Piyush and TT. I mean, I didn't get your complete name. May I ask your name, please?
Yeah, this is Krishna here.
Ah, Krishna here. Okay,
Krishna,
you put it on TT.
Niyaz, Piyush is the owner of Prabhat Publication. So
all right.
It's one of the largest publications from the northern side.
Okay. Happy to know that one, Piyush. All right. So let me go back to Kaushik Saab. Kaushik Saab, a few words on how has been your experience on e-Bookery, and what are the things that you would like to see, different over here, or is there any suggestion or any kind of a piece of advice that you have for us to take this, session into the next level?
No, this is my first session, so I'm too early to talk about any suggestion or anything. But wonderful session. To be very honest, if I can be honest, I'm not really avid reader, so to speak. I'm more of a learner, from visual mediums. So I watch videos, a lot of videos, and all these books and all through the videos. But I am gradually sort of picking up also that habit. I read books after having written this book. Otherwise, how can I ask others to read my book, right? So yeah, so this is something which I'm picking. So wonderful session, and learned a lot from what Suchitha mentioned, and also all the feedback that have come on what I just said. I will just those are also something to take forward. Thank you very much, and especially again, Mr. Thomas. Thank you very much for
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaushik, Majumdar. It's been a really wonderful having you on this platform, and we would like to see you again here as a presenter or as a guest. Or we have other versions of Brain City, which are like empowerment talk, which are like English, Malayalam, or we are there even on Tamil, and we have for the biscuits, we have their own programs. So please, when the time allows, please make yourself there even on that platform as well. Yes, Suchitha.
Hi, Niyaz. My two cents on this would be that I think it's like everybody else said, that we don't see these kind of forums quite a lot. We often see maybe presentations, but we don't see book reviewing, or maybe I have not seen much of book reviewing. Maybe I'm new to the process. I'm not sure which way it works, but I love the enthu. I love the energy. Me myself, I think because of the role and the different hats that I wear, I am continuously in the need to learn. It's always been a learning process for me ever since childhood. And when it comes to books, I remember how sometimes on my visits to India, even in the train, like when everybody else is sleeping, I would be the one under the bed sheet with a torch and reading my book. So I used to be such a bookworm, on those days. I kind of miss today. I think where we are at, we have very few people who genuinely are interested in reading. You might be more interested in reading it from a tablet. That way I'm more of an old soul. I still like, just holding the book and feeling the book, and the smell you get from the old books. That's amazing. I think that can't be replaced. So I'm really happy to be a part of this, and I'll be also interested to hear if there are certain topics which you think will bring value to the group. That's something possibly I can come back and have a chat with you on. I would love to be in such a forum. So thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful,
Thanks for that,
wonderful,
Suchitha.
Suchitha.
Definitely will come back to you.
Thank you.
You've
Thank you so
been
much.
fabulous along with Majumdar Sahab today here. So thank you so much, everyone, for making it. And as usual, it's been another wonderful session. We had many takeaways on this day. Yes, there are plenty of things that we have from today's session that we need to incorporate into our life. So guys, we are a bit early today. It's wonderful. It's really good. People are fasting different part of the world. So for me, it's a 5:20 over here. For me, we have enough time, another 44 minutes. But I guess in Dubai, the time is up for iftar. So guys, thank you so much for making it once again. And see you all next week here on the same platform at the same time. And until that, what you can do that one, the posters of e-Bookery, the posters of Brain City. When you get it, share with your friends and family and the people whom you think would be interested in such kind of an activities. Similarly, we have